and I think you've been instructed. You got 3 minutes, and Shannon will keep track of that and let you know when you have one. I want to try to keep us on schedule this evening, but I am wanting to hear from everyone who wants to speak. I don't have a particular order. Normally in these things, you would have a sign-up sheet. We'd go through that. So I think what I would like to do is I'm just going to go across. We'll go across the outside of the room, and then we'll start working up the rows if anybody wants to talk. So I'm going to start right here and work around. And if you're okay, come on up. And then what I'd ask you to do is state your name. Up to the front, please. You're famous now.
Yeah, so, good evening, I'm Gary Salcedo.
This way, Gary, so that's not right in your eyes.
Yeah. And I just wanted to talk with the board a little bit about the potential discussion on our defined benefit plan freeze. And I'm one of the nurses that will be affected by that. I've been here at Bay Area Hospital almost 40 years, so it'll be 40 years this next September. And I feel like when the hospital gave me the choice to choose whether the 401k that new employees were getting or stay with the defined benefit plan, I actually talked with our CFO at the time, Tim Salisbury, and he suggested I stay with the defined benefit plan. So that was my decision. And I felt like it was a good decision because I had worked already and got my vested insurance or retirement through the hospital. And then hearing that potentially there may be some changes to my benefit. And unfortunately, it was through kind of not rumors, but certainly hearing about what the board was about to decide at their last meeting and not knowing anything about that. And I felt like that was a really disservice to the nurses that have this plan. It would have been, I think, better to bring that forward even just before a vote was even being made. And so now it's been a month later and we get an email from HR indicating that communication is important, and that's what we're going to try and do here now. But I felt that was kind of a little too late, and I just want to impress upon to the board that my retirement is very important to me, and I'm close to that age. In fact, I'm at retirement age. I'm 62, and I had planned to work until 65, getting my benefit at that age. But now I'm hearing that that may be frozen. So I just like to. Thank you. I'd just like to say that I hope the board understands that there's a lot of nurses that are involved with this defined benefit plan. And there's some other questions that I think are very good questions, but I don't have the time to talk about them. Thank you.
Denise, you say we have a microphone?
Yes. Aaron?
So Aaron, we're gonna go around that way, and it'll save people from going all the way up to the front. Okay. So if we're going to stay in place, again, please just state your name.
This is shaking.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Aldrich. I encourage all of you here to at least state your name and your length of service here, if nothing else tonight. We are invested in this community, and we have spent years in this facility, in this community. So I want to take a moment to read these questions that Gary didn't have time to read. They're not my questions, although I support them 100%. One, what is the total dollar amount expense for manager incentive bonuses over the last 4 years? Question two, what is the total dollar amount paid out in severance packages to executives terminated was over the last 4 years? Number three, what percentage of salary pay increase has the current executive team received over the last 4 years? 4, what is the total salary and benefit cost for the paid chaplain position over the last 3 years? 5, what is the total dollar amount expensed for the management consultant fees for the last 4 years? I'd like to submit a copy of this, so these...
Yes, if you'll bring me that copy, then we can try to address those.
Absolutely, I appreciate the time. I appreciate seeing the support of my coworkers so many years. Thank you.
I'm off, muted.
I am Carl Deldati, retired, like 3
years. And this has always kind of been my hospital, community hospital. I'm extremely proud of this place. I've given some of the best years of my life to it. So it's crushing to me to kind of see where it is now, some of the things that are going on, and some of the reasons that it got to where it is. I'd like to see it turn around. And I know I speak for a lot of retirees who couldn't make this meeting. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Denise Delzai. Yes. I've been here just shy of 37 years. I feel like I have given a big part of my life, and I'm proud of being a nurse here. I have worked side by side with many nurses in this room, so I'm very proud to say that I have worked with them. Worked as a team. We've had a great culture, and it is very sad to see where it has gone over the last few years. And I'd like to see that also turn around. I think we've taken really good care of our community, and we need to continue to take care of our community, especially since it's an aging community. And a lot of these people don't have resources, and we do it's down to Brookings. That is a large area to all of a sudden put our hospital into. So back to the defined benefits. Light at the end of the tunnel is getting a little brighter, and I'd like to see our hospital and the board back the nurses that have taken care of not only their patients, their family members, but the community, including the physicians on the board who have taken care of patients, communicated, we've got mental backwards to take care of them, and we are all proud of that. We are here to take care of our community. We want to continue to do that.
Hello everyone, my name is Kip Carvanage. I've been a nurse here at the hospital for 35.5 years. And actually worked side by side with many of the board members. The comments I have tonight, instead of a public speaker as my fellow nurses here, so I wrote some of this stuff down. The comments have to do with the vote the board took last month. I'm disappointed with the lack of transparency. I think Gary made a good point about this already. Surrounding the proposed freeze to the pension of our most experienced employees. Decisions that impact the livelihoods of our most dedicated staff should not be made behind closed doors. We deserve open and honest discussions, not unannounced. The 24 individuals that this proposal covers have over 600 years of combined very hospital experience. I consider this proposed freezing of our pensions breach of trust. We were given the option many years ago to either remain in the defined benefit plan or not. We made that choice, and we were told that this pension would be there for us when we retire after a years of service. We are not just a number. 24 of us are the hospital's most loyal employees with years of experience at the hospital. 24 to over 41 years. We are the skilled professionals who train many of the younger generation caregivers who consistently deliver exceptional patient care. Remember, freezing our pensions sends a chilling message not to just the 24 of us, but to every employee at Berry Hospital. Message being that loyalty and years of service are expendable.
1 minute.
Closing, I'd just like to say that there are other alternatives that won't sacrifice the well-being of those who have given their careers to the area. Let's remember, a hospital is not just walls and equipment, it's the people in it. Don't let this decision undermine our soul of this nation.
Thank you. So we'll keep the microphone going around the outside wall. You don't have to talk, but if you want to talk, please.
Good evening. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak. I'm Leroy Peterson, just a bit like KDL. I've been in sales of there for 38 years. So we've served the community and our hospital. Years and enjoyed doing so. myself 44 years in healthcare. So to hear that a defined benefit plan, as you've heard from other people, it's going to be frozen from people that truly love taking care of the community and their patients in the state of which the hospital is being managed and taken care of, to me is disheartening, really. The community really needs this facility. They need us. And so we're going to have a good hospital staff. We got to take care of it. Got to support it. So,
Just turned through the link I closed out, Jen.
Thank you.
Hank Ferry, born and raised here at this hospital, currently working 27 years next month. And I agree with all the previous statements from my fellow employees.
Thank you.
Christy Rice, and a lot of cases have heard I'm a provider recruiter here, possibly the highest volume of providers in this area in the whole community from here to Curry County. Yep. I have a lot of concerns about the direction that the area hospital has been going over the last several years, both as a patient and as a recruiter. I want nothing but the best for this hospital and for our patients. This is something that is very important to me. You're treating my family, my friends. I mean, I just became a grandmother and I had to have very friends. And it was embarrassing as well because I'm the recruiter. So, also, it's devastating what's happening. We don't have to do this. We don't have to go outside of the area. We can partner together. And like the letter from the medical center says, we're stronger together. I think that you guys should listen. Just be open and listen. Just do it. And let's see what we can do together instead of going outside of the community, bringing in a large corporation. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jill Townsend. I've been a nurse here at Bay Area my whole nursing career, 34 years. And I really don't have anything further to add that my long-term colleagues haven't already said. So it's basically wanted to say that I agree with everything that was said by Gary and Kip and Denise and the others. And I hope you'll consider other measures for cost saving other than increasing our pension. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Deborah. I'm not everybody, but I work over at the medicine. And I'm just here to listen to what options are laying this forward, but hopefully there is a solution.
Thank you. So you don't have to pass it through. You want to talk about it.
Hi, my name's Linda. I've worked here for almost 40 years, just in nursing. I was in another department. I look around this room at the staff that's here, and I just want to say thank you, every one of you. If you knew how many silver stars, how many gold stars, how many nurse of the years you have sitting in this room, it would be astounding. There are several nurses in this room who've had awards given at state level for their work. They've been recognized over and over and over again. Part of that's because of the hospital here, but the rest of it's because of the nurses who are here. We all had opportunities to go somewhere else. We chose not to because we love Bay Area Hospital. When we had the opportunity to change our retirement plan, we had days of conversation. We were given many bouts of education on the whys, the how-to, why were we even thinking about it. None of that happened this time before we got notification of what had actually happened. That, again, is really disheartening to have that happen. We're very smart people, love our hospital, we're very supportive, and we'll do what it needs to, what the community needs of us. We've proven that over and over and over again. It's time for this administration to prove it to us, to stand up for us,
this time. I have to spend my day. This really irritates me, so I'm trying not to be mad. I need a permanent marker to put on every time I open a container of wipes, to put the date when it was opened. We don't get office supplies, apparently. Never heard of that in the building before. I have to hunt for 20-25 minutes to find a marker so I can go around and mark the container. Do you know how much it paid me for a 25-cent marker to get something done? There are decisions being made that are idiotic. And those of us in the room who've been here for a long time, we can help and we want to help.
1
They have to
minute.
recognize us.
Dr. Trissini, I've been here almost 30 years, and almost a year, and I appreciate all your hard work and help that you've helped me during my career. I think we're all here because we're concerned about the future of our community hospital. And we're very concerned about it, and we understand that Bay Area Hospital is considering partnering with an outside organization. Well, you know, the physicians that I know and the organizations I know are excited about the possibility of forming a community healthcare system and collaborating with Bay Area Hospital so we can stop an outside purchase. We'd like to do this so we keep local control. It's the first time I've seen many of the physicians and clinics this excited and cohesive about an idea and a concept. Now, the details are too complicated to explain here, but we have presented a plan to the board, and we hope that they will consider it so that we can maintain control of our hospital, our institution, and our future here in this community. Thank you.
Just to keep walking around that edge, or if you want to talk, let me know.
Hi, I'm Dr. PJ Kaiser. I'm a radiologist. I practiced here for 11 years through 2009 and currently in Canada. I'm the fourth generation of my family practicing here. My father was instrumental in the creation of this hospital and in the original architectural design and layout and all that. And so this is something that my family is very dear to. I think that it's very important to this community in our geographically isolated area to have local control over our hospital. This is a community hospital. It's also a community. We're one of the largest employers in the area. People really count on this facility. I understand there's financial difficulties. I think we need to find a way to keep our local control, continue to have a board of elected people they're elected from the community, not a private company that operates behind closed doors and loses transparency. Good times are easy. Hard times challenge our integrity, our ingenuity, our creativity, and test our character. Hard times define us more than the good times. During this difficult time we're in now, we need to step up and maintain local control of our local hospital. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine McIntyre. My dad was on the board for years. He loved this place, and he would be absolutely heartbroken to see this place being bought out by some large conglomerate. A lot of the hospitals in Oregon have been bought out by a few hospitals. It's not individual things. It's this huge overtaking. OHSU, one of the main physicians left. He was in charge of the cancer center. He left because they're going to do things like buy out other hospitals, even OHSU. But a big hospital or a big corporation doesn't care about us. They just don't. And what happens if they come in and they run it into the ground further, and then we're living here with no hospital at all? That's my big concern. And how much money must these corporations make? Why not? We went in medicine not to make high wages, not to give CEOs more money. CEOs that aren't even local anymore because we've been sold out to a corporation. It's just unconscionable. Thanks.
My name is Sue Lee. I'm a community member. My husband and I are both retired nurses. One of the reasons that we chose to move to Coos Bay when we retired was because of a community hospital here. I've had nothing but the best of care here, and I am just totally distraught to think that it can be bought by a conglomerate, and we're going to lose that personal touch. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben Messner. I'm the CEO of our Independent Physicians Association here locally. I just wanted to let you know that our physicians, speaking on behalf of about 100 physicians, we're dedicated to fixing this problem locally, as well as my role as for the Physicians Association. I'm the CEO of Advanced Health, and we're charged with the caring of some of our most vulnerable population, our Medicaid lives, about 28,000 lives. And it is my belief that we can fix this problem locally, and we can serve our population and our most people in most in danger here locally. Trusting those lives for somebody that isn't vested here, like all of you that have spoken here. I want to let you know that we are committed to fixing this problem locally, and we're at the table.
CEO of Bay Clinic, I believe we all really want to look at the opportunity to fix this locally. And I hope we got a chance at that.
Speak up, please. Yeah, we can't hear you, Olivia.
Yeah, my name is Lena Sampson. I'm the CEO of Bay Clinic. I agree with Dr. Trissini at Northland Medical Center. And Ben Messner here that we all want to take a crack at this, but we better for our community.
I'm going to start on the front row and just go across if you want to talk. Stop.
My name is Ann Kaiser, and I'm probably one of the oldest members here, and I was born here. And if you think that somebody's going to take over and help with our hospital from out of state because they love us, you're nuts.
Amen.
They're going to be here because they want to make money, and they will take the money and they will take it somewhere else. It probably won't even be in Oregon. And we need to keep our hospital local. And we all need to work for this, including the board. Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
You didn't make mistakes. You want to have a
My name is Anita Merritt. I am one of the 24 in the defined benefits plan who is quite shocked last month to hear that our benefits might be frozen with no communication, no warning. What we've been hearing through this process is the process of potentially having somebody purchase a hospital is transparency. I feel like we have had a dramatic lack of transparency with this defined benefits situation. It's very disconcerting. All of us stayed here many, many years, including through the hard COVID years, when many people fled for higher salaries, short-term jobs elsewhere. We've all stuck here, stayed here, and are all very disappointed that we had no communication about this and don't even really know what to expect in the future about this. I am unfortunately not that close to retirement. I still have a few more years, so it dramatically impacts the numbers that I would look at for retirement. Drops my retirement income by potentially 2/3, which is significant and quite worrisome.
Sorry, some of this has already been gone over, but my name's Leah Rice. This has really been inspiring listening to everybody speak, because you love your facility. Okay, yeah. Okay, I can yell. I've been a lifelong member of this community, and I've worked here for 34 years as well. I'd like to hear how the decrees the defined plan. I'd like you guys to hear how it affects us. There's a point in our careers where we all realize our families and our lives need to come first.
Prior to that, we made time sacrifices for our careers at the expense of our lives and our family time. We've been here for this facility and we're here for our patients 100%. I'm sorry. We put our health and our families on the line with our commitment to this hospital. We're some of your most experienced and most skilled employees. Most of us have been here longer than most of you. We've delivered, some of you. Our investment in this community and this facility is crystal clear. Not as much for the money, but okay, I gotta go back. We are the employees who come in at a moment's notice and pick up extra shifts. Not as much for the money, but for the safety and welfare of some of our most vulnerable and fragile patients. Our investment here is crystal clear. The one thing we have left from what we've been promised when we were hired 20, 30, and 40 plus years ago is our retirement. We are the few left in the defined benefit plan. The other benefits we have lost have been for the financial benefit of this community, our facility. The defined benefit plan is what we are vested in. It's what we have left. We chose to keep this plan when the option to flip over was given. We all had our own reasons. Mine being the stability of the plan versus playing the stock market ups and downs.
1 minute.
If the vote is made to freeze the plan, you're affecting the future, our future and our stability. We can offer to switch us over, but at our age, with few years, many of us have left prior to retirement. There is no compensable way that I'm aware of that will equal what is possible in defined benefit plan. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, run out of time. The facility management says it's about retention and transparency. The action of voting prior to notification of those involved does not reflect either. In fact, I've never felt so devalued or blindsided as when I heard this vote was even in the works last month. It was all through the grapevine. Most of us are capped out on step raises and PTO accrual. What we have left is the defined benefit plan. Let us keep the one benefit left we have worked long and hard for. We don't want to leave, but for many of us skilled and experienced staff, financial stability and retirement is all we have left. I've heard this is for our benefit due to potential partnership. If this is the case, we ask that you meet with us, explain to us, value us, don't blindside us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andre. I just want to say I know there are no easy options. Healthcare is a difficult landscape nowadays, no matter what. With that said, my heart goes out there affected by this. And honestly, my heart goes out to the board and everyone at this table that has to make these difficult decisions. I can't imagine being in your place. And just thank you for all the time you take it to this. My background is emergency medicine. I've been an emergency nurse, a trauma nurse for the last 10, 15 years. It's called what it is, it's like an emergency. And the worst thing to do in an emergency is to do nothing. Perfect is the enemy of good. I understand there's a lot of difficult options on the table. I hear that. I'm new to the area, and I agree. I see a lot of faces around here that do a lot with very limited resources. I've seen Dr. Tersini develop to something incredible that I did not see in another one trauma center. I'm incredibly impressed by how much this team breaks their back every single day, and I'm blown away by how much more they could do if they had more resources at an option. I've been part of 5 mergers. I will tell you, every single time we came out better on the other side. There was a lot more resources. There was a lot more support. There was a lot more for the staff, satisfaction, but more importantly for the patient who's first. I apologize, I have to look at my note, I'm a little shaky. I know I don't have all the information. I actually can say, frankly, most people in this group does not have all the information that goes into decision making. But I know that the people that I work with are sitting at this table, I trust them. I came out here for Jen Collins. Oregon was not on my list, I'm gonna be very frank. My wife thought it was a joke, and we came out here, met the team, and I walked out, and she was like, oh crap, we're doing this. And then I met my son was born here at this hospital by these nurses. We had several miscarriages. We went through several years of IVF. To come out here and do this knowing the limitation of resources was very scary. Brian was my first babysitter. By the way, he's very good. That's my little dinosaur in the corner. I trust you implicitly, all of you at this table, and you have my full support for whatever you decide. I will say, I have also been made aware of the posting that came from all the partners in the area, which is very impressive, being how I have 0 social media presence. This has been happening for a long time. This was put out in my interview that there's a financial crisis. I would ask, where has the support been then? Where has the stepping up by our partners been then to prevent us from getting to this point? To either we knew and did nothing, or you didn't know, which gives me more concern. That's not okay. And if this was such a good option, I'm going to be quite frank. It wouldn't require a social media blast and an army of people to try to defend it. I was part of Northwestern, which is the number 3rd ranked in the country. When we merged with them, everyone was excited and happy, and it was a beautiful option. Again, I'm not pretty of this. You have my full support, Brian. You have my full support, Chad.
Fine.
Thank you.
Heather Toma. I've been a nurse for 13 years, but only the last 6 here in Oregon. And I just want to say I am so thankful for my senior colleagues who have trained me. Thank you so much. Many of them who spoke. Thank you so much for helping me become a better nurse. And I also want to say thank you to my leadership. I came out here in a leadership position, and many of the people around this table here did help me grow into becoming a great leader and a different version of a great nurse. And I thank everybody for sticking it out through COVID. So I just want to, call it out, just honor that, COVID did a number on us. And I don't know that healthcare is ever going to be this. I'm from the Cleveland area originally. I've been through 2 mergers. One was wonderful, and it gave us many resources. It connected us with partners and supplies and things we didn't have access to. And another one was horrible, and that's part of the reason why I'm out here. So I know that these are hard decisions, and it's just so wonderful to see everybody present in this room. And from a personal standpoint, just to share that I have a young family in the community, and I do think this decision really could impact if my family stays here. As professional transplanted into this community, I have to decide what's next for me professionally and for my family.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jenny DeLeon. I'm a pediatrician. I've been here for 20 years.
And I'm loud.
So one of the things about rural healthcare that actually is one of the aspects that I really like, having worked in rural Alaska before I came here, was the ability to think outside the box and make things work. And I think it's an aspect of rural healthcare here as well. And one of my concerns is that we might lose that ability if we do a merger where we can't say, hey, I need this, I'm going to figure out how to get this. But if there are protocols and other things that are being controlled by administration that is absent, my big concern is that we're going to lose that ability that we have in a rural area. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to second row. I'll just scan across. If you want to talk, just raise your hand.
So I'm Michelle Merritt. I purposefully moved here because of a lot of you. My mom has worked here for a long time. My brother works here. My niece works here. So I was not birthed here, but I feel like I was birthed here. I've been here for 3 years, and I came here after interviewing a bunch of people and finding out that the culture here was pretty amazing. And within a month of being here, they said, hey, guess what? We're pulling all the travelers away, and we're closing a bunch of units, and it scared the bejesus out of me. But I also figured out really fast that we have really amazing leaders that pulled a bunch of resources together and showed me that it didn't have to be scary. I had a CEO that knew my name within a month and would say hi to me walking down the hallway, which was really great. And then Jen Collins showed up, and we started saying things like, what would Jen Collins do, which was really fun. And I met Lee Saltzgaber, and I mean, like, seriously, like, it can feel really intimidating when you come to a place where you know nobody, and then, like, the executives know who you are. It felt really good. And I met people who told me they've worked here for 40 plus years. I'm 40 years old. Who the heck works somewhere for 40 plus years? Like, I didn't know that was a thing. So this is a really amazing hospital, and I feel like ideally this is somewhere that I'll be for a long time. I've also been through a merger that came out really, really great, and one that did. The one that came out really great gave us an amazing set of resources. I work in quality. My master's is in patient safety. The idea of having a hospital that gives me a complete set of policies and procedures and a quality program, that makes me really, really excited to be able to have you guys call me and ask me for something, and then I go, maybe I can find it, give me a minute. The idea that I would have resources for you guys for education, for policies, for teaching moments, like I love that for everybody. The idea that some of you don't have something that we invested in makes my heart. To me, there has to be a middle point. Even Mother Teresa said, with no margin, there is no admission. We have to make money to take care of our patients. So to me, there is a way out there that we can find a middle ground, and I just pray that we find that here today, so we can stop being scared.
Thank you. I'm going to keep coming across.
I'm Dr. Wendy Hawk. A lot of you know me. I just wanted to say that I fully believe that the community plan will work. We have people from Coquille, we have people from Bandon, we have people all over this community who want to make it work. And we really do believe it can work. And I really hope that you give this serious consideration to the community program that we want to produce. We can do it. And the physicians are committed. And we know it's going to be painful. We know that we may have financial hits. We know that we may have other types of hits. But we are committed to doing it because we care about this community. And then to your question, Andre, we have been knocking at the door. We don't get to choose when the door opens for us. We're only the people knocking on the door. And when the door finally opened, we came in, but we were knocking, just to be clear. Yes.
There we go, next row.
I'm Dr. Joseph Morgan, and I've been practicing medicine in Coos Bay since 1966. We all know that any transition in the current financial situation of the hospital is going to be difficult. And it seems to me, though, that local control is by far the best way to go. I think there are going to be problems that are difficult to solve, and I think that the chance of getting a satisfactory conclusion is if we can maintain local control rather than farming it out to a venture capital organization. I want to strongly support what has been said about keeping the hospital administration in the local community. I strongly urge the board to pursue this avenue vigorously. Thank you.
Raphael, you sit on one of the general surgeons. I've only been here 9 years. More than you I am going to test some friendships and some relationships and what I'm about to say. This room is very cold when nobody's in, and there's just a table of people there. I had the privilege of being the chief of staff and the challenge of being the chief of staff for 2022 and 23, which were 2 very difficult years for the hospital. Much the board at that time led by Dr. McCampbell grapple with some difficulties. So nothing here is a secret. Everybody in this room will hear every month in these meetings. A lot of what you are hearing you might have context and background for. And there's a lot more fine detail in that. But I think having sat somewhere over there with Dr. Sorsky for those 2 years, I have a great respect for the difficulty they've had to grapple with, which isn't unique to us, it's a nationwide thing. So I don't know that there are any sides in this room. There is only one side in this room, and that's Coos County. We should all be on the same side. That being said, the next thing I'm going to say is I fully endorse the board evaluating what the community wants to bring to the table. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't endorse it, but I've been asking for this for about the 9 years I've been here without much traction, which goes to addressing what Andre came up with. Perfectly valid question, Andre. Perfectly valid question. Where were we a year ago? Were we 2 years ago? Were we 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago? Right? We started knocking on the door because we basically see the threat. We see the threat to our livelihoods and our system of care and our lifestyles with an outside entity. I know you went through 3 mergers, it worked well. My limited administrative educational background says that's generally not the rule. Those are the exceptions. So, you know, yeah, I'm happy the clinics and the IPA stepped up. And I'm happy they had the door knocking and hopefully will be listened to. I endorse evaluating what we as the community physicians and organizations bring to the table, because I believe for 9 years we could develop a model that the rest of the country can use for community-based quality healthcare. Thank you.
I probably don't need anything else. I probably don't need a microphone. My name is Chris Gorgon.
Status.
My name is Chris Gorgon. I'm an ICU nurse. I've been ICU nurse for 38 years, 28 here. I'm going to be talking about the benefit plan. Being a nurse, I've always wanted to be a nurse since I was 5 years old. Nothing else. I have been bitten. I have been slapped. I have been choked. I have been kicked. I have been spit on. But I'm still a nurse. I'm still here. I love what I do. I have worked with doctors that have screamed at me and yelled at me, thrown things at me. I'm still a nurse. I'm still here. I don't get raises anymore. I haven't got raises in years. I'm still here. COVID came. You know, I'm going to tell you a personal thing that happened to me. I was sick when COVID came. I was in a patient's room. I had diarrhea all over myself. I could not get out of the room fast enough. I took a shower and cleaned myself off, put a diaper on, and I was still a nurse here. I didn't ask for thank yous. I didn't ask for anybody to come up and give me a hero thing. But I'm still here. I never get a raise. I never get anything else except what everybody else gets. I have a pension. These young kids, these young nurses don't understand it. It'll happen to them too. I work here every day. I should get what I get at the end. I sign a paper. I come here every day. Look at my absences. I have very little absences. I train most of the ICU now. Patrice trained me. I train others. I have trained units after units. I've trained some of the residents on things to do. I stand by some of the surgeons, some of the doctors for things that we do. I've told people die in this community all the time. I'm a nurse. Nobody protects us. I've been infected by people, HIV, all sorts of patients that I could have gotten sick. But I'm still a nurse. I have people, 22 of these people, 24 of these people, excuse me, that shared the same thing and have done other stories and are still a nurse and still work every day. I will die probably here trying to help this community. I didn't go off with the big money. I didn't go off to like the places that could take care of COVID patients for $100-something an hour. I stayed here in this community to help these people. I moved here. I'm not even from here. I moved here from California, fell in love with this area, stayed here. I think that, you know, that we should believe in our hospital and our community. It's a great community, great people. I think that we can do it. I think we should treat our nurses right. This was a secret. Us nurses did not know this was happening. Us 24 did not know it. That is not fair. We have stood by this hospital for years. I've had 16 managers since I've been here, 16. And every single manager I have stood behind and supported. Even when I didn't agree with them, I supported them. I supported Brian. I supported everybody. We work hard here. I don't know too many people that poop in their pants and continue to care for patients. And I don't think this is fair. I don't think this is right.
Time.
My name is Jennifer Johnson, and I've worked here 39 years as a nurse. This is in regards to considering freezing our defined contribution pension plan. I and many others have been committed and loyal to the hospital for our entire adult lives. We have trusted the administration team and the board to do what is best for our patients and community, as well as what is best for our dedicated employees. We were given many years ago a promise of this pension plan, that after serving the hospital so many years that we could afford to retire from service. If you decide to freeze the pension plan, you will be targeting your most experienced and senior employees and taking away from them something that was promised. This will send a very clear message to all of our employees and community that you do not value your most experienced and senior employees. It saddens and angers me to hear that while you are seriously considering taking away from your senior employees, at the same time, you are wanting to give bonuses to the administrative staff. Please stay committed to your experienced and most loyal employees by standing by your promises and not freezing the defined contribution pension plan. Thank you for listening.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Shirley Reynolds, and I relocated here from Chicago in 2006. And since I have been here, I have totally fallen in love with this community. I've taught here, I've worked here at the hospital, I've taught at the nursing, over at SWAC, putting out nurses and proven nurses that will come into this hospital and they will work and care for the patients, and not only the patients, but this is their family. I'm like, I've never ever experienced, I totally called my mom and said, can you believe everybody here knows each other? So you have to kind of like keep everything secret. Everybody knows each other. But, you know, it does break my heart because of the fact that, you know, just knowing that nurses are, you know, are not at the forefront. We are the forefront of healthcare. We are healthcare. Healthcare would not exist without nurses being in the hospitals and working tirelessly, caring for family members and loved ones in their communities. So I am here to, you know, to stand by my nurses and also to here for support. I really truly don't know. You just hear in the community of things that are going on. But I came here because I wanted to show the nurses that, you know, even as a nurse practitioner, I'm still a nurse in heart through and through, but I truly, truly stand behind the nurses and support them 100%.
You need to put that right and said for rural communities, the good thing about it is we all know each other. Bad thing about it is we all know each other.
I'll just go down. I'm going to come around.
I think I'm going to get my step today. Hi, I'm John Fiddy. I will be 92 years old in a little over a month. I was on the board when we built this hospital. I served another term of 10 years later on as a member of the board. Some of these decisions are hard. Some of them are hard because nobody had looked at other choices. And if the doctors of this area are willing to put together a plan that will work for Bay Area, I think it's got to be tried. And I hope you find a way to do that. I don't like the idea of somebody in Kansas, New York, or anywhere else deciding how we're going to have hospital care here.
I'm Jennifer Briggs. I have brought this point up to the board that I'm going to make tonight before, but I think it bears repeating. The public was not adequately informed in advance about the hospital board's June 11th decision to start the closed door search process. That search process was described on the agenda as only strategic option engagement approval. The public relations campaign started the day after that decision, but should have started well before. There have been some common themes this evening about secrecy and transparency. It seems as though many of the decisions that have been made by the board and by the hospital administration have a lot to do with making decisions that are actually not terribly transparent to the public. Now, to the point that, yes, I have attended several of these board meetings now, and usually there is no one there. To that point, people cannot come to discuss an issue that they do not realize is an issue. So I would like the board to consider stopping the process of partnership and asking for the people in this room who have knowledge, who have experience with these issues. We are your community, and this process should start all over again as of today. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Coy, and I've been in this community for about 22 years. And I spent 20 years here at the area hospital, and for most of that time I was in the operating room. And for the last, say about 8 years, I was the OR manager, and then I was the director of surgical services and OB. I love our community. I love Bay Area Hospital. I did make a decision to leave because I had a fantastic opportunity to step into an administrative role over at AI Surgery Center, and that's been wonderful. I couldn't pass that up 3 days a week. No call and no weekends. So, but I had planned on retiring here because the people at Bay Area Hospital are absolutely amazing. It just warmed my heart when I walked into this room and got to see everybody here. And so that just coming here tonight to see you all is wonderful, and I miss you all. But I was really excited to hear that the physicians in our community, who I also love working with, have a plan. And I really hope that a pod is going to be taken so that we can listen to this plan and see if it's something that could work. So I just wanted to show my support for that. I do agree that these decisions are very hard, especially when we're talking about financial decisions that, keep doors and services open. But I've worked with a lot of these people in this room for so many years, and I know that they can do it. So I just wanted to give my support for that. One thing I'm a little disappointed is hearing tonight for the first time about the defined contribution plan. I was part of that, but I rolled that over into my IRA. And that speaks volumes to, we talk about employee retention, employee satisfaction. There's one of those simple things that you don't take away from these nurses who have been there and worked so hard. So thank you for letting me talk.
Hi, my name is Juniper Green, and I've been in this community for over 30 years, and I was a nurse at Bay Area Hospital for 24 years as a floor nurse, working in leadership, working in quality. And I just urge the board to really listen to our provider clinics that are trying to give an alternate option. They have nothing to gain other than seeing this hospital succeed. So I know that their heart and everything about their family is to help this hospital succeed. And the fact that they're coming together is should be commended, and it's astounding. And I really would like the board to take a pause and really listen to the ideas that they have, and I fully support them. I do know that these are difficult decisions, and we don't have all the information, but I just really want those physicians and the clinics to listen to me for their questions.
Hi, good evening. My name is Deanna Frieder, and I've lived in this community for over 30 years. I was a nurse at Bay Area Hospital for over 20 years. I started my career here as a CNA. Over the years, I was involved with anywhere from surgery to intermediate care, all over the place. And truly, this was a family. I spent years working with many of these people here on culture. And I am one of the people that left 4 years ago. And I did not leave for better pay. I left purely for lack of trust and lack of confidence. And it really disappoints me to hear what's going on this is the first time I'm hearing about the pensions. And I am here in support of our providers, of your staff that you have here in the community to support them. And I hope that you will just listen to what they're saying and take heed to their experience and their interactions with this community, and to please give that a chance. Thank you.
My name is Barbara Stevenson. I feel a little bit out of place because I am not an employee of Bay Area Hospital, nor have I ever been. I am simply a member of the community who found out about this last night. And for someone to say that you started these negotiations in June, there is a definite lack of transparency on what's going on with the hospital. I just found out reading the agenda after I got here that there's a proposed freeze for the nurses. That's horrifying. Again, lack of transparency. But as a community member, I came tonight because I've lived here 25 years. So I wasn't born here. 25 years though, I had a baby in this hospital. We have used its services many times. I cannot imagine not having a hospital in this area. And while I understand that the board thinks that selling the hospital will make it better, what I have seen in the little bit of time that I've had opportunity to do research is when you sell a small community hospital to a larger entity, I would say within 2 to 5 years, we will no longer have a hospital. We need a hospital here. So please, let's keep it in the community. We have an option on the table. Let's work with that. Let's see what we can do with our own people to keep us a community hospital. It's really important. And I am also going to add, yeah, you need to take care of the nurses. Don't freeze their defined benefits. That's horrible.
Thank you. I think I caught everyone. I'll give one last check to make sure everyone who wanted to speak had the opportunity to do so. Okay. What's that? You're right. Thank you for that. Is there anyone online who would like to make a comment? Unmute and raise your hand if you're able. The little hand gesture.
Do you know if James is full? I can't log on.
I don't think so. He would have been Erica, are you, Karma, are you still?
I think Dr. Growth wanted to say something.
And Jonathan Anderson as well.
Give us just a moment. I think we're working on some technical aspects.
Mute himself from this end. I can't unmute him. I can only.
Okay, so Dr. Growth, go ahead and unmute yourself and make your comments, please.
Thank you. Excuse me, this is Stephen Groth. I'm a physician at Bay Area Hospital for 25 years. I've kind of got laryngitis, so excuse me. Pretty amazing to hear the likes of John Whitty, Joe Morgan, the Kaisers, people that were here many years ago when the community faced a similar crisis. When Macaulay Hospital closed, and not everybody agreed at that time. If you read or listen to the little blurb on the website for Bay Area Hospital, it talks about that time and when Kaiser wanted to build another hospital, and then the hospital district built Bay Area Hospital, and obviously it's it's been a success. I do want to thank the board and the hospital administrators. I know you all have spent way more time than you signed up for, and this has been a difficult process. That said, I'm asking you to take the difficult road. I know it's going to be the harder road to try to form a new community hospital health system here than selling or merging with another entity. But I think it's the right decision, and I think crises like these bring us together, and it's really a time to make a mark for our area and honestly for the people involved. I know you'll have the support of the physician community as well as the hospital staff, and I think the community as well. And I know it's going to be hard and scary as it was many years ago when they did this, but I think, listening to the experts, that this can be done. I am not an expert at running hospitals, and I can sit in the grandstands and critique every move that hospital administration and board has made, and I don't know the insides, but I think it's something that the community deserves, and I think the finished product will be something we can all be proud of, and that will support our community for a long time forward, as this hospital has done. Thank you.
Thank you. Up on top, Kira, go ahead and unmute and make your comments.
Hi everyone, this is Kira Hood. I worked at Bay Area Hospital for 22 years before going to Advanced Health. I have the same sentiment as many of you in the room. That's my hospital. My entire family moved. I'm not kidding you. My entire family, my in-laws, my great grandparent in-laws that are still alive, they see the providers in our community. They moved here because I bragged about our hospital so much, and the state bragged about our hospital so much, that we were kind of like this shining star, and I was so proud of that. Moving to Advanced Health has been phenomenal. I wanted to work on some outpatient projects. I'm getting to do that. That said, I can only see even more of the amount of dedication and pride and care and concern for our community. I know that the individuals that are stepping forward to make this offer to the hospital, we wish we would have been involved in the discussions earlier. I don't think we would have been at this spot had we been invited into the room sooner. They stepped up for me immediately when APU was about to be closed, and the community and myself mortified. Our community stepped up, and we stepped in, and I think that we were just waiting for that opportunity. We've got it now. I pray for my family, my community, all you sitting there in these rooms. We care about Bay Area Hospital. I've always cared about Bay Area Hospital. Please slow down, take a chance, listen to our partners. They've got our best interest at heart. I do not believe that a organization that is for profit will ever have Coos County's best interest at heart. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. So I'm here to help. I will support in any way I can. I think that we've got the right people in this room to make it continue to be a community hospital that we've always loved and worked for. Thank you.
Thank you. Down at the bottom, Jonathan, go ahead and unmute and make your comments.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Anderson, pediatrician here at Bay Clinic, and also for this year, the board chair for the SWEPA board. I've had the privilege of learning quite a bit more recently about the alternative options of a more local community effort in terms of not just Bay Area Hospital, but a sort of more of a partnership. And as far as choosing other partners or organizations, I agree with most of the sentiment in this community. I think we all do have to recognize we currently have a locally controlled hospital, and we're in this situation, and this is why we're all discussing this issue. So I don't know if we should hold local control completely on a pedestal, because we need local control with accountability and good turnaround and good practice measures. That all being said, many of these for-profit organizations are truly looking at stripping profit out, not necessarily looking for community benefit. And I think any organization that is in a financial scenario where they're near bankruptcy and looking to extract cash quickly should be make the board take pause on thinking whether they're the best long-term partner for the community.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Karma. Okay, Karma, you are available. We have another board members out of the country.
I am now. Yes.
Okay.
And I have heard everything.
Okay. With that, then I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. We'll get back. We'll start our agenda. The Bay Area Hospital District Board. Sorry, I got logged out while we were doing comment.
Reporting the chairperson.
Yes. First off, I'm going to stray a little bit from my initial comments. One, I'll start with instead is I'm really glad that everyone's here, and I've appreciated every word that everyone has said. We know most of you. You know most of us. We live in this community. My family homesteaded in East County Bridge. My middle daughter was born here. This is my hospital. This is my community and has been, and I care about this community. Everyone on this board has lost sleep since December of 22, trying to do the right thing for the very thing that every one of you said, which is this is our hospital and we care about it and we want it to stay here. It's not a matter of actually wanting it to stay here. We realize that it has to stay here, that this community is not this community without this hospital. And I don't know how we do, but clearly we need to do a better job of communicating. But every one of these board members and the executive team struggles daily of how do we do the right thing? How do we do what they did 50 years ago? And 50 years ago, they were in a similar situation. The market was changing. They looked around, they tried to make a decision that they thought was best for the community. And I know Mr. Woody has told me it got contentious and was uncomfortable. I think things do get like that when you're in a really difficult situation. And I will say that as a practitioner myself and involved in it every day, the market is changing. It is not the same as it was. Reimbursement rates are dictated by someone else. And our community, because someone mentioned it earlier, we're an elderly community. We're the 32nd out of 3 poorest counties in the state. So we have a struggling community that I have heard everyone here say, stand up, we want to take care of that community. Unfortunately for us, that means we get paid 30 cents on the dollar for that. Our payer mix is about 87% Medicare and 12% commercial. That means we lose money on 85% of the people we treat. And someone else mentioned that there's no mission without the margin. No one here is concerned about making a fortune. But we all understand that you need benefit programs, that you need raises, that we need new cardiac equipment, that we need new labs, that we need to improve the oncology center, that we need to pay our physicians. We need to recruit and retain them. All of that costs money, a lot of money. And we're not getting reimbursed for the work that you're doing. And that's frustrating to us. But a lot of that is out of our control. And we are charged with figuring out how to keep the doors of this building open for our community every day. And at some level, to us, what that structure looks like is not as important as the fact that it's here and it's open and it's taking care of our community. That's what is at the end of everything we're doing. If it seemed not transparent, I have nothing to say other than I apologize. We do our public meetings. Some of the transparency in negotiating with affiliated partners is out of respect for them and their privacy, because they may not necessarily be non-profit or governmental. Some may be, some may not be. But either way, we had to protect them until there was some sort of decision made. So I'm going to kind of go back to my jotted down notes. I kind of wanted to break down, one is how we got here, what the market is, what are our options, and what our next steps are. So how we got here essentially can be brought back to December 22. We had the COVID-19 pandemic, and by a cruel twist of fate, at that same time, we decided to upgrade our electronic medical records. Now, we can have discussions and arguments about whether that was a good choice, a bad choice. It was a progressive choice to move us to the next level of what's next for electronic medical. You can talk about whether we got a good partner or a bad partner or how the implementation went. And I know there were struggles and probably continue to be struggles. But at some point, we had to make a decision to move forward. We couldn't stay where we were. So that decision was made. It happened to be right at the end of the pandemic. And I suppose I'm going into the details of the weeds a little bit, so I apologize. But I think it's important to build some background. At that time, and I'm going to apologize for making it about money, but after that time, we'd lost a lot of the procedures that actually generated the revenue so that we could afford to take care of the sick people. And at that time period, we were primarily filled with really ill people getting 30 cents on the dollar, and we weren't having the procedures that allowed us to make money so that we could support those. I drew a blank. I'm having my own Alzheimer's. So, service lines, right? So there's a lot of that, and I know you know that there's one department that does generate revenue, and that department's revenue helps us support another department that doesn't make revenue. Because they're at the end, and someone else said that, the patient is first. That's why we're here. We have to take care of them. But then as you start building into it, it's a little more complicated. That's got to be paid for. We got to have staff. We got to have qualified staff. We have to train that staff. We have to recruit and retain specialists. All of that stuff is difficult. And I would say, and I think you all know, that was difficult before this because we are geographically isolated. And we have been so strong about our independence and being here. And that's part of what has made us that strong. That's also part of what's kind of held us back. We keep saying, now we can do everything. We don't need anybody's help. At some point, we kind of need other people's help. And there are people in here that provide great value that have moved here to help us. And they still care about this community. They're still just as much a part of this community as someone whose family homesteaded, right? I mean, truth being known, I left for Portland and never thought I'd come back. My parents did. And, next thing you know, I'm here. And my wife said, let's build roots. They're so deep now, I don't know what we want. Side story. So that's where it started. The hospital suffered a $61 million loss because of that. The team that you have up here now was able to turn over stones, make some hard decisions, and correct that $61 million loss. The difficulty was the market didn't change. So now we're kind of in the hole. We're chasing the ball out in front of us. We had an 18 to 24-month turnaround plan that they did that. They were hoping to get a 3 to 4% margin, which would get us back to stability. That hasn't occurred. There's been, one thing after the other. As we go to our board meetings, we're always starting to say, you got to be kidding me. You're hitting us. There's somebody going to hit us an extra $1 million fee, or there's this charge that we got, or, we had the high traveler costs for a while. The team has worked really hard to bring all those down. But at some point, it gets back to the root of what I'm saying. Reimbursement is capped and a little out of our control, and costs continue to go up. Some of those costs are important. The unions negotiated costs over the last couple of years at about 20%, which you all deserve. We realize you work for that, but we've got to pay for it. And the revenue, we didn't get to up the reimbursement rates 3%. They stayed the same. Part of the difficulty we have right now and why time is of essence is because we continue to hemorrhage money. I'm going to make some numbers up, and I apologize, Mary Lou, but I think last month we've lost between $1 million to $2 million. 1.2? 2.2 million dollars. And when we go through the data and look at it, they've actually worked to improve their efficiency. So, they're doing more with less and still losing money. And that, again, I'm going to go back to that, hits us every day. Some of the difficulties we also face as a public hospital is other hospitals at the end of the pandemic were able to invest their money in stock markets. Because we're a public hospital, we couldn't. We were all stable, secure bonds, which I understand its point, but realize the end effect that had, which was while everyone else was making 20% gains, we were making 3%. So we didn't, our reserves didn't keep building up to help us pay off some of this debt to keep us moving forward. So it's really, as I keep going through this, you see this as kind of this perfect storm of these things that kind of limited us in doing what we wanted to do, which is to turn us around, make us profitable, so we could open up our strategic plan, which talks about growth, talks about adding services. It doesn't talk about removing services. But we've not ever been able to get to that point. And I do feel like, having sat in this chair month after month, feel like the team that's up there has turned over every stone to try to right that. We looked at reconstituting our tax levy. We can't. Do you know why? Rhetorical question. Because we stopped taking it. Because we were proud, to some extent, to our credit, that we were very fiscally responsible and sound, and we didn't want to burden our community. So we stopped taking that tax revenue. Unfortunately, the state says you can't reconstitute it now. You stop taking it. So we don't get the option to do that. So that's out. We looked at floating a bond to help us get through. I think you all know how bonds go, right? Even the public safety levy failed. And even at that, even if it did pass, we were looking at a total gross of about $4 million. Realize we are a $250 million operation. $4 million isn't going to help. It's not going to solve the problem. It moves things 3 months down the road, right? And then we got to start cutting and readjusting again. On top of that, if it did go through, we're going to be affected by the other special districts in our area. So we're affected by what they call compression. So of that 4 million, we might only get 3 million. And then every 5 years, we'd have to go back to the voters and ask for that again. As we're looking at trying to find a solution that gets us to the next 50 years, that was not it. That was a Band-Aid that was going to be struggle on you, on executive team, on the management, mid-management team, and the staff every day of having to continue to do more with less. So what's the market? The market is changing. More and more systems are becoming the norm. And the financial purposes behind that, which we have been told, and I'm not making this stuff up. We really have searched for everything. We sought out experts. We've had consultants. We've talked to different organizations and different hospitals. Help us figure out a solution to this. The market is that unless you have an organization that's about $750 million to $1 billion in net operating revenue, you're not going to make it in the future because costs continue to rise and reimbursement rates are capped off or leveled. So what we see when we look at it is like, okay, so if we want to get to the next 5 years, we might be able to do X, Y, and Z. But if we really want to put something in place that's going to get us to the next 50 years, we need to look at what the market trend is and how we can be successful moving that direction. That means affiliation with a larger system, right? I've heard a lot of negatives here. I'm not saying those aren't true, but I have read just as many positives of how that can work. And I've also heard that we're a strong community here. We have a strong physician class that wants to make this help. We have strong nurses that want to make this help. There is absolutely no reason that that's any different, even if we merge with a large system. We are still here. This is still our community. If we do decide to move forward in allowing our executive team to research what they would call a letter of intent with an outside partner. That for 90 days. So that takes us to March. That gives 90 days for us to negotiate those contracts. Bear with me. I know I'm taking up a lot. Oh, may I use this? Part of what this board set out to solve or to do was, these are our objectives when looking for a partner. We wanted to position Bay Area Hospital as an employer of choice, a clinical partner of choice, and a provider of choice. That's our goal. When we're talking to partners, we're saying, how do you help us get to that? We want to expand the breadth and integration of clinical services through supporting infrastructure, aligned care teams, and specialties to reduce the need for patients to travel for care. It has been an issue for us since the beginning. It's why does everybody feel like they have to go to Eugene to get care? We have a good facility. We have good providers. They're all here speaking up for our community. They're still going to be here. We want to figure out a way to keep them here and keep the patients here. We want to maintain and enhance long-term financial sustainability of areas. And as I've tried to outline for you, that is not possible in the current form that we're in. We want to optimize Bay Area Hospital's clinical integration and interoperability through improved electronic health record offerings that we're working on with Epic. I think there's still some tweaking to be done there. You know, that's part of what we've looked at with partners is, are you on Epic? Are you willing to go to Epic? Or is your system more improved? Because we also realized that that was a nightmare. And that if we had to do another changeover because a partner system was different, that would be difficult as well. Not insurmountable, but we realized it would be an additional challenge. Support high-value care through access to innovative resources, including clinical quality and safety protocol standards and processes. I heard someone speak to that earlier. One of the benefits of affiliating with a larger system is they already have those processes in place, and they just disseminate them out to you. So we don't have to sit here and figure it out. They can bring that information to us to make our jobs easier so that we can stay focused on what we're here for, which is taking care of our community. And finally, we want to ensure a strong cultural fit that allows Bay Area Hospital to maintain a strong operations and build on its proven ability to meet the needs of the community. We wanted a partner who wasn't going to come in and tell us to be something else. We wanted a partner who was going to understand who we were as a rural, geographically isolated area, understand that and want to help and be part of it. We have struggled and studied and worked and talked and taken advice month after month after month sitting in these chairs. And I'm sorry that hasn't been disseminated to you at the level that you wish. What are our options? I philosophically have been, for many years, a favor of building a local health system. I have never understood why we had this beautiful facility, our wonderful critical access hospitals surrounding us, and our great independent physician clinics here in the same area that weren't all working hand in hand together, right? So philosophically, that has been my thought and sort of wish. I will say, that's not really an option. We are $250 million. Coquille Valley Hospital is about $40 million. If we took all of the other parties in here, we might make $500 million. And as I indicated before, the trends and the market is showing that unless you're between 750 million and $1 billion, you're going to have difficulty moving into this for the next 10 years. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying it's it's a march uphill, and one that we don't know that we can afford to risk the hospital for, at this point, magical thinking. The numbers don't pencil out. And I'm not saying they couldn't. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't continue to figure out some way that maybe in the future that can be part of it. And even if it isn't, we are still here. We're still the same community. We can still work together, integrated. I know I'm rambling. Forgive me. I think it's important. I mean, this is really important. You all showed up here to have this conversation. I think it's important to kind of see behind the curtain. I know we've heard some negatives about that. This is the American Hospital Association's take on mergers and acquisitions. These are bullet points. So I know we've heard some negatives about them, but again, we've tried to go to the experts and where the market is. Acquisitions and mergers help reduce healthcare costs and create a fiscally sustainable environment for healthcare delivery for patients and communities. The analysis shows a statistically significant 3.3% reduction in annual operating expenses, with also a 3.7% decrease in net patient revenue per adjusted admission. So it improves efficiency. Acquisitions and mergers help drive quality. Research studies have shown that mergers and acquisitions are associated with statistically significant reduction in inpatient readmission rates and improvements in certain outcomes and performance measures. Partnerships and mergers or acquisitions help improve access to care for patients in rural and underserved communities. That is us. That has shown that it includes a reduction in the risk for mortality from certain conditions. Partnership and mergers, acquisitions are a means for creating more cohesive care, making it easier for patients to access specialists or services in the acquiring system. In this way, consolidations ensure that care remains in the community. Those are your guys' words. Care remains in the community. Federal policies and programs have a role in driving hospital consolidation. Financial pressures can prompt mergers and acquisitions as providers struggle to access the resources they need to care for their communities. These financial pressures can result from the cost of complying with a complex web of local, state, and federal regulations. And that's a whole nother conversation about whether those are justified or not. But it is the game we're in. It is where we're at. The other issue is, I do think that it sounds great, the proposal that was brought to us. I'm not sure it's legally okay for us as a public hospital to donate our resources when we have a bank note of around $50 million. The bank is going to say, I don't think so, because the assets that they are holding for that loan is our hospital. And if we give it away to start a local entity, I don't know that they're going to be okay with that. It's risky at best. And if they look at that, between that and an option of someone who's going to pay us market value and satisfy their loan, they're going to be clear in which direction they want us. So that brings us to, what are our next steps? We're going to talk about recommending tonight, moving forward in working on developing a letter of interest with a potential partner and working out those negotiations and those things that we're concerned about. We have 90 days to negotiate with them to try to get the best deal for our community hospital and our community clinics and practitioners. And in that time, if not to be flippant, I'm not flippant because this is important, but if a unicorn appears, we'll grab onto it. But a unicorn has not appeared. All of us have wanted something better, bigger, because we believe we deserve it. But we have a horse, and the horse can take us to where we want to go. Again, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for letting me ramble. I think it's important for you to hear the stuff that we've been struggling with on a daily basis. And I think a healthy board conversation the rest of this meeting will be important too. With that, I'm going to pass off to my other board members for comments. Tom, I'll start with you.
Thank you. I think you did a nice job of restating how we got here. I've been on this board a long time, and I have some humility that I made decisions that took us here. We thought it was a great idea to invest $50 million for the Epic electronic health record. It was the future. It hasn't worked out. We actually helped subsidize the clinics in their purchase of the Epic platform. I know many of you, friends and coworkers over the years. I've been in this hospital since '88, and I've worked in the OR, and I've worked in labor and delivery, and I appreciate all those individuals who spoke this evening. I don't lose sleep often, but this has been a real challenge for us to make the best decision with the information and the situation. We don't have federal government, state government, even bankruptcy protection to fall back on. We are on our own. So my ultimate goal is making sure Bay Area Hospital is here. And is this my first choice? Absolutely not. And yet, I believe, I'll use your analogy as a horse, it'll get us there. I do appreciate the opinions shared tonight, and I thank you.
Thank you. Barb.
I want to just endorse what my two fellow board members have already said, but also to appreciate everybody that turned out. It's important for us to hear from the community. We can't always make a decision you're going to be happy with based on the facts facing us. And right now, we're under a time crunch, a financial crunch, that probably will require some decisions that we wish we didn't have to make. But we have to keep this organization. And to keep everybody that works here employed, serving community members with their health care. So I'd ask for your understanding and appreciate everything you did at today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Renee.
Well, I'm humbled to be in this room. I'm not a medical professional. I need to pretend to play one on TV. I'm from a business background. Been a CFO at a financial institution for 27 years. Married a great guy from Marshfield High School, dated him without my mom knowing about it. I was going to school in Cookhill. He was born and raised here, as was his mother, his grandmother, his great-grandmother. Heck, he's probably related to many of you in the room if we follow the tree down far enough. Our roots are very deep here in the community. I never thought in a million years I'd say a fellow board member delivered one of my children, but Dr. McAndrew did. So my roots are very deep here. However, from a business background, we are in a place that we don't have a lot of options. And I really appreciate the local organizations coming forward and wanting to try something different. But we need $48.7 million. We are in process of defaulting on that loan. If we default, that means the bank, which is not a local bank, that means they're in control in theory, and also in paper and in contract. I don't think we want them, bankers, speaking as I am one, I wouldn't want to run a hospital. I'm sure they don't want to run a hospital. It'd be a public relations nightmare for them, but we will be in default. And I think, as it was mentioned earlier, how do we go to the bank and say, there's this plan. There's a plan with organizations that are much smaller than us. The bank is not going to tolerate. They want their money and they want to be assured that they're going to be repaid. So that is something that's looming there. It's part of what's making us make the decisions that we need to make. I think about the hospital being here 50 years from now. We have to do something different. The local concept is great, but I think, as it's been mentioned too, we can still do some of those things. However, those organizations also have their own goals. They have their own boards. They have their own strategic plans. Heck, we can't even get Coos Bay and North Bend to merge. Can you imagine trying to get 7 organizations with 7 different leads and different agendas to try to agree on anything? I think that it's just not going to be a possibility. And again, we have the bank that is actually going to be looming over much of what we're discussing right now.
Thank you, Renee. Patrice.
Hi, everybody. I know most of you, worked with most of you, taught some of you. This is really difficult. I blame my son, who's flips out. Okay. Okay, so now I can talk about it. Anyway, it's been very difficult. It's been a huge eye-opener for me to learn everything on the other side of the monetary chain and what happens and how you get money and how you don't get money. I've been in your position. Yes, I am retired now. But we are trying to make the best decision to keep you all employed, to support you with the benefits that you deserve, to give you the lifestyle that you want and that you have right now, and to give you that retirement. And we won't talk about the defined benefit plan until some other time. But I understand your concern there very much. So please know that being in debt so much as this hospital is, and the requirements that the bank has put on the hospital, not just to pay the monthly bill, but we have to have X amount of money, cash on hand, at the end of every quarter. And if that doesn't work by, I don't know, $10, we are in default. And at that point, if, as Renee said, bank doesn't want to deal with us at the hospital, they could sell us to anybody. And the end of our quarter's coming up really quick. And, you know, when you're trying to balance your checkbook and you're needing to pay those bills, some of those businesses will give you that grace and others won't. I don't think this bank is going to give us any grace.
Thank you. Karma, please. Can you hear me, Karma? Are you checking, Denise? So we can pause just a little bit. We have another board member who's out of the country, and don't feel sorry for her, it's warm. But we're going to give her a minute to try to come in and be able to share her comments.
Hello?
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
You can now.
For some reason it said I was muted externally, I think. Anyway, I apologize for not being there in person. I'm out of the country, but I did hear everybody's comments from the very beginning, and I do appreciate the comments of everyone. And like others have said, it's been a rough road, and I think the hard part for me as a board member is the decisions that we have to make. And we really just kind of yesterday really started to talk about this other option with a community. And so I really, and I know you've kind of asked us for a pause, and the problem is the bank breathing down our neck. But I think it's worthy of considering a pause. That's my personal opinion, because I just don't know enough information about how this could happen, how long it would take, and how we could all work together to try to look at another option. But we honestly, we're hoping we'd have a lot of really good options when we first went into this. Several months ago, we thought, oh gosh, we're going to have a lot of good options and we're going to be able to choose the best one. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And we kind of left, I feel like, into a corner with really only one option. And that's not a good feeling. Not that it's a bad option, but it's just not everything that we would want. So I think we'll just keep working forward. And thank you, everyone, for all your comments tonight. It's much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Carmen. Okay, we're going to move into the, please, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. We're going to move into the boring part of the meeting. And we're going to go over the consent agenda, and I would accept a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
A second. It's been moved and seconded. Call to question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Renee? Are you? Aye. Yeah. So it's unanimous. Thank you, Carmen. Okay, we're going to move into the next portion. We'll give a little pause, let everybody's head out.
Yeah. Bathroom break.
Bathroom break? Can we pause the meeting for a bathroom break? 5 minutes? Okay. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Sure, it's 5 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm really
Yeah. Actually, I know some. I think it is funny. I'm not sure you. I think I'm sure that this until yeah. Those will help. Oh my God. Yeah. I think so. Yes. And then my shows are good. I'm serving out between and I math. So it's I use that because they're updating that money, but I couldn't otherwise we can make sure she gets the right thing. They got a rating. Yeah. Well, it has the double. Sure. And a board account of derivatives. You get deals 90 sharp. But they bought that. You should know. You could just follow it. It's not going to be not. I know that she said that I had to say, but she you know, ending there. Years ago, my computer died, so I had to play it. Yeah.
Write that down.
I get you.
So we'll need to get to that point. Get a motion to second. And we should have.
I talked about
you know, I think what gets me is I don't bring things on application. I don't tell things from my team. And so that's not, but you're not to understand. So can I find out what? Right? Can I be, are they good rebut?
There'll be a little tonight. Actually, it has action items. Just to say that. We're gonna go this.
Like Mickey Andrew, you know, we used to work together.
Thank
Is there anybody in that room?
Yeah, everybody. Let's see.
There you go, that's your 5 minutes.
Yeah, there are 2 people down there. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm going to re-adjourn the meeting. Oh, I'm not going to re-adjourn the meeting yet. Point of order.
It's okay. You like
Did I say re-adjourn? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I can be forgiven. Yeah.
When I started calling the meeting, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Just sit down.
Thanks for being in this.
And then everybody was so okay. And then Michelle Merrick stood up and said, "Okay, I'm going."
She's out.
That's right, Patrice. Look at you starting a new friend.
You might as well start at the end and work your way backwards. I did right. You need a sunset.
So that's bad. Yeah, that's fine. We can start again.
Thanks, Shane.
Yes.
If I had different.
Can I take questions?
Okay.
He did big sauce.
I'm going to go ahead and reconvene the meeting, and Board Member Taylor will come in. We're reconvened, and we're to our next portion of strategic affiliation presentation. We have Juniper Advisories here to help us, Rex Bergdorfer and his team online. I'm going to turn it over to you, Rex, if you want to introduce your entire team.
That sounds great. Hi, everybody. I'm Rex Bergdorfer from Juniper Advisory in Chicago, joined by my colleagues, Chris Benson and Ansley Geary.
Can everybody hear?
No.
You
might have a microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I can't hear.
So my name
Needs
is
to be
Rex
turned on.
Bergdorfer from Juniper. It's turned on?
Needs to
be a green light.
Yeah. How's that?
Right up to your mouth.
Red.
There you go.
I'm Rex Bergdorfer, joined by my colleagues, Chris Benson and Ansley Geary. Ken Marlowe and Barry Ray are from K&L Gates. They're the law firm that's been assisting the board through this undertaking. I'll start out and yield quickly to discussion. Juniper is a specialized advisory firm that for 35 years has focused exclusively on not-for-profit systems partnerships. We've sat in about 300 rooms like this from Alaska to Florida, helping board members with very difficult decisions. We have worked on many of the partnerships referenced. Andre, who was part of the Northwestern system, is a project we worked on with my alma mater, Northwestern. We've worked on a project with Cleveland Clinic. Chris, who will introduce himself.
The microphone closer to you. Yeah.
Sorry. Chris, who will introduce himself, joined us from the Mayo Clinic. The discussion tonight was, believe it or not, amongst the most civil and well-reasoned we've seen in settings like this. I compliment everyone for their open-mindedness. Tonight, we're really going to try to facilitate a discussion about the range of strategic options that are at the board's disposal. We're not advocating for any particular direction. We'll support whatever direction the group wants to go in. This is your decision. We first met Bay Area in 2016 when we led a board retreat. Initiated this process in February. And maybe like Dr. McAndrew, I'll be humbled to say that the work that we've done, which is hundreds of pages of research and analysis and thinking and documentation, hasn't been as available as it can be, and we can seek to improve that. Nationally, the category of hospitals in the United States that's under the greatest amount of pressure are the owned and controlled by local governments. There's a universal belief that scale is really important going forward. We're working right now on the creation of the largest rural health system in the United States, where our client, the Marshfield Clinic, which is about $3 billion from the upper Midwest, is combining with Sanford Health, a $7 billion company, to create a $10 billion company. We know deeply how hard the group has worked over the last 10 years. It doesn't come as much solace, but you're certainly not alone. And we give a lot of credit to the board and the management team for the tremendous effort expended over the last 11 months. We have a PowerPoint that I'm not sure it makes sense to roll through with everyone. I think the question is tonight, it is not the final vote, but it's whether you wish to undertake a process over the next 90 days to move forward with exploring a partnership with a larger firm. The one option that's been proposed is a lease. It's valued at over $100 million. It makes the banks whole. It commits to 10 years of retained services, of retained jobs, and organizational stability. So I'll let Chris, Ansley, Ken, and Barry talk here in a second, but as we frame the discussion, I think it's important to emphasize this is not the ultimate decision date. And if you do choose to move forward, what we would anticipate is working to codify the arrangements that have been proposed, including the model that I've mentioned, and come back to the board for final approval in your March or April time frame. So with that, maybe Chris, Ansley, Ken, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm happy to start. So my name is Chris Benson with Juniper Advisory. I began working in a hospital when I was 16 years old. I went on to the Mayo Clinic, where the motto is the needs of the patient come first. And it's true in the work that we do as well, that identifying ways for hospitals to have sustainable, high-quality care in their community, and being able to help boards work through the once-in-a-generation decisions, that's what we do. I'd like to just acknowledge quickly the process that the board has undertaken. Rex pointed to the board education in 2016, and there was additional retreat even in the beginning of this year. A very formal process was laid out that had multiple decision points, ultimately approached 22 separate medical facilities and organizations and systems. in order to seek a partnership. 9 participated by reviewing the information. 2 ultimately entered into phase 2, and then 1 partner submitted a final proposal in that phase 2. The entire process was built on objectives that were from the board. Those included access to clinical resources, having sustainable financial future, protection of staff, access to electronic medical records, quality safety protocols. And so that has been the criteria and the true north for the board through this process. Just a moment more that throughout the last 5 months, the board has both reviewed information, reviewed those proposals. They've hosted visits on site. They've gone on visits to understand the resources that the system might bring them, and also visited hospitals that have recently, had partnerships to learn from that. So I commend the board on that very comprehensive and thorough process, and we'll turn it to my colleague.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Ansley Gary with Juniper Advisory. I specialize in financial analysis, and I'm a certified public accountant. I just want to echo what Chris has said and what Rex has said. It's very clear that Bay Area is a vital part of the community, and our goal throughout this whole process has been to share objective information to give the board and the community a clear picture of where Bay Area stands as you consider next steps. And also just on the note of financials, I know like the board has very well articulated, it's a challenging time in the healthcare environment. And I commend the management team for how they've navigated through these challenges. But it's become very clear that with this increasingly difficult healthcare environment, that it's very difficult for standalone hospitals to balance these financial pressures. I'll pass it over to Ken with K&L Gates.
Yes. Interesting observation, just Ken, before you go, just on the state industry. I mentioned that we worked on a partnership with Cleveland Clinic not long ago. Last year, the Cleveland Clinic, delivering world-class bedside care, lost $1.5 billion on operations. Last year, United Health, a claims processor, booked roughly $360 billion of revenue. And it led to their CEO getting killed on the streets of Manhattan last week. So it's a unbelievably challenged time in the industry, combined with political environment that we all just ran through. And it feels good to be in a room with people really trying to work on a solution, and hopefully we can over the coming months. And Ken, why don't you take it away, maybe to hit some of the high points of the proposal?
Sure, yeah. Ken Marlowe with K&L Gates. We are a law firm that specializes in healthcare transactions. And I will say, echoing the sentiments of Juniper, this is not a unique circumstance. The headwinds that face acute care hospitals at this time are very challenging. And so we see that there are a number of systems that sit in similar positions. And I think one of the things that we want to do is to help the community as it's looking at evaluating what those options are. And so we work hand in hand with Juniper and the management team and the board in order to help through any process that they're considering with respect to documenting a potential transaction. And certainly, Rex, I'm happy to hit some of the high points from some of the discussions to date. As mentioned, it would be a lease. It would be a lease for 30 years in which the district would own and hold title to the real property as well as improvements and lease those to Quorum. There would be 2 successive 10-year renewal terms. There are, most importantly, a number of covenants for the protection of the district, one of which is that there will be maintenance of core services for a period of 10 years. Obviously, one of the things that's most important for the community going forward is the maintenance of those services, and they've committed to that for a period of 10 years. They've also agreed with respect to the governance that there would be a local board of trustees up to 9 members. That would include the CEO, 3 to 5 physicians on the medical staff, as well as members of the community. So once again, local governance. And then with respect to employees, which we've heard, quite a bit tonight about, the importance of the protection of the employees. There would be existing pay, so they would match the existing pay rates, titles and positions consistent in all material respects. The benefit package would be consistent with those of the lessee in this instance. And then also they would honor all seniority. Additionally, they would adopt the charity care policy that's currently in place, as well as adopt the existing medical staff bylaws, as well as provide medical staff privileges to those who have medical staff privileges today. And so that's sort of a high level view of some of the key areas in which they're making commitments and some of the key terms related to potential transaction.
Well, I know Ryan and management was up late last night, early this morning. You want to share your thinking with regard to the options at disposal and the feeling amongst the group on how best to move forward?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, when I moved to Coos Bay 6 years ago, through the interview phase for the job and kind of understanding the market here, I felt like there's an opportunity to build a local health system. COVID really set back, I think, most healthcare organizations and maybe most businesses and most family plans from running the normal course. I remember years where we sort of lost the ability to plan what's next. You can even plan a vacation without undue stress of having it canceled due to a canceled flight or a negative COVID test. And it certainly impacted, I think, the trajectory in our community. Last month, the board was scheduled, and we've had a very clear timeline published from the outset of this at our June meeting, understanding that this decisional time period has the ability to cause a level of stress on the organization, its members, our employees, our physicians, and the community at large. And so we tried to lay out a schedule that would allow sufficient time to thoughtfully approach the market, continue our educational exploration of what strategic options would make the most sense for Bay Area Hospital and our mission to serve this community. We were scheduled to arrive at decision point last month, and we had a late entrant strategic option that made sense to all of us, management and board, to slow down the process and see if we could, in concert with community stakeholders, our physician partners, other hospitals in the area, look at the viability of a local health system and understand, could that be something that fit in with the process that we started and support those objectives. We have had a couple of meetings since, including a meeting last night. And from my perspective, there are a number of challenges with that option. Most of them have to do with timing and the complexity to go from where we are today into what could be in the future. In fact, we're so early in the process that as recent as last night, when asked, are physician entities ready to commit to being inside the organization, We aren't yet because they have due diligence that needs to happen. And I certainly understand that. We have been through a months-long process to arrive at, enough insight about making a decision to move forward. I think that the time to assemble that, I'm not sure that the group, we haven't heard a time frame presented. There's definitely some structure and framework, but the steps and the time required to move through and the logistical complexity of multiple independent organizations who are today completely autonomous with local internal control to chart their own futures. And let's not forget the civic pride of communities where we're talking about public districts who, like Coos Bay, North Bend, Lakeside, have a pride in their district hospital and ceding control, though while here in the region is definitely moving that control further away from their local entity. I, from a durability standpoint, have found that when mergers and deals come together, they're strongest when they're mutually beneficial. I think that's true in a one-on-one relationship, and it's certainly true in a more complex relationship that we're contemplating here. And through those conversations, was not able to understand how this organization does more for the non-Bay Area hospital entities than help them feel comfortable that control remains local. And I worry that that's not enough to push through, the financial challenges, the complexities that would be involved in moving at a very rapid pace from idea into something that stands up. I contrast that with where we find ourselves now months into a very regimented, structured, thoughtful process to approach the market. And I won't repeat, though I have some of the things in my notes here, but there are a number of elements that we have negotiated as part of this letter of intent. And just to be clear, a vote tonight is not the conclusion. It is moving forward into the next phase of this, where we really get serious about items and concerns that we have heard from physicians, staff members, and community members, and get those codified in agreement that makes the commitment strong. But what we have in the letter of intent, as we're doing our due diligence thus far, significantly address some of the concerns. And this is the first opportunity that we have to share those with some of our physician partners. I think one of the things that I hope our physicians would take comfort in is a larger voice at the seat of governance. I think it's incredibly important. And while it's true, the local hospital board will not have complete fiduciary responsibility for all things. They do have input on management, the CEO. They do have input on the services. There's a commitment to keep services here in the community. There's a commitment to privilege existing medical staff and adopt our bylaws. There's a commitment to honor our existing employees and provide employment at similar pay and job title and description. Those are really important commitments, and they are significant. From the outset, the process has been designed to secure more than just financial commitment. Though financial commitment gets transferred into mission very quickly, we know there are programs and services today that Bay Area Hospital could provide if we have capital investment. Cardiology is certainly at the top of our list, and we would be really excited to accelerate back into a growth phase. Moving down to talk a little bit more, I can tell you that we have seen, particularly through COVID, with that additional administrative and response burden, the breakdown the standard functioning of a hospital, really. It's been difficult, and Bay Area Hospital is struggling to keep up with just the basics of policies and procedures and adapting to new Medicare regulations. At our last quality committee, our Chief Quality Officer, Kelly Dion, presented a summary of what I think was a 1,000-page final rule document, and summarized into multiple pages of changes that we need to make in our operations in order to be compliant with the new conditions of participation for Medicare, which is an incredibly important payer for any hospital and us. So gaining access to a network, as we did site visits, I can't tell you how great it felt to meet potential colleagues and begin having real world conversations about how we could collaborate together, how their strengths could be brought to bear in areas that we have needs, and we could do a better job of providing care in our local community, and begin to think about building potential pathways for when it exceeds the capabilities of services that we can and should be providing here, and we need to transfer a patient. Physicians always have choices as to where that referral or transfer would go, but building care pathways with an internal family member, if you will, as part of the system can be very effective and really help us provide a smooth continuity of care experience for our patients that drives good clinical outcomes, facilitates good communication for our physicians. And in our site visit, we heard and saw, in fact, the services today are already utilized by our medical staff members because of the quality and consistency and patient experience that the program delivers, even before we talk about a deeper potential affiliation. I'm just reviewing my notes. I do want to share with the board that I have the permission of the executive team to bring you a unanimous recommendation that we move forward with this process to define or to negotiate and outline a definitive agreement between now and the end of March, and bring that back to the board for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Rex. You have any additional or closing statements? Thoughts? You don't have to. You got something.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think, one of the important aspects of this is, making sure that the board's fulfilled its fiduciary duties. I think what we've heard here tonight is that there's been, thorough review of potential partners. There's been quite amount of diligence with respect to looking at the market, identifying potential partners. And so one of the things that's obviously most important in this is satisfying the fiduciary duty of care. And that is conducting the necessary due diligence to make an informed decision that's going to be in the best interest of the district. And so I think as you look at, potentially taking action with respect to the letter of intent, I think that this has been good background to reflect the fact that the board has been consistent with the satisfaction of those fiduciary duties.
Troy, I'd say, given the turnout tonight and the very heartfelt and well-reasoned issues raised, if we do anything going forward to improve the communications, we should. Yeah. You in June had created a designated website with rationale behind what was prompting this process.
Yeah, trying to.
FAQs, and we should all do our best to make sure that's available.
Expanded.
To everyone and expanded.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much. I'm going to jump right in. Karma, any thoughts? You want to talk about anything? Or?
Yes, I'm actually on the fence because I would like to have a little bit more time to review the community option. I don't think we really have, or at least personally, I don't have enough information. I know there if there was any kind of timeline to that, that would be really helpful. I know we have 3 months. If we go forward tonight, we have 3 months, but is 3 months enough time for those people that are really wanting to do a community option? Is that enough time to put something together to see if that could be an option, so that we can, I think, let the community know that we aren't giving up on that. But if a lot of things could happen in the next couple of months, I don't think it should be totally off the table.
I hear you. I suppose I would push back a little bit and say, I don't know that the hospital has the finances to get us past 3 months. Am I missing the boat there?
I'll just weigh in because we really didn't dive into that. You know, going forward, our current operating performance this fiscal year leaves Bay Area Hospital with no other options than to really dive in again and help, determine that plan of what the next steps are to stem our negative cash flow. And
so what you're dancing around is we potentially have to make more cuts.
Yes.
The things we don't want to cut.
That's correct. And so the last couple of months' financial performance kind of cement that line. When we're tracking at upwards of $2 million of loss as our baseline, we've got to take action. That's going to be true for Bay Area Hospital if we stay independent. That's going to be true if we move forward with a potential system affiliation, and that's going to be true if we pause or were to move forward with the local option. I think the options come into play with what is the backstop and what is that additional story that we're able to give to the bank regarding certainty of the bank's security interest.
Yeah.
We've earned trust and support from the bank at this point, and I won't present to them something that we don't fully believe we're going to be able to implement. That was true for the plan that we're falling short on right now, and we've had conversations with them about this process. They are very much up to speed. Right now, we sit in a position where there's cash in the bank that covers our loan. If we don't stem this tide and move forward with quick action, the bank's ability to satisfy their regulators, their shareholders, becomes much more limited. And whether or not they want to, they may be forced to take action. And, we talked about the importance of local control. Honoring our commitment to the bank helps us make sure that we stay in control. When we move into a default, we lose an element of control, and we cede that not to another healthcare company, we cede that to a bank. It starts and stops with the dollar. Yeah. Now, our local community credit union represented in the room, and our local banks, I understand they power our small community. So I don't want to speak overly harsh at the finance.
About the evil bankers?
Yeah. Somebody's always more evil. I think those are the realities that, as I see them, and it's my job and duty to advise the board. And I think Ken had a comment.
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I would mention with respect to the local option is that it comes with an extreme amount of complexity in terms of how you would organize it, how you would execute on it, from a regulatory review standpoint, whether it's antitrust, whether it's changes of ownership, whether it's licensure. We're talking about many, many months and probably well over a year. So the different sort of paths are dramatically different in terms of the time that's available. And that assumes that there's agreement by all of the, whatever it is, 7 parties that might be interested in putting together such an affiliation. The complexity alone is going to be very time consuming, but I think more importantly, getting the necessary regulatory approvals and other approvals will extend, I think, beyond a year.
Yeah, that was my thought too, Ken. I guess, Carmen, that's my concern is, and Ken kind of broached on it, but just from my standpoint, we don't know what the strategic vision would be. There's no structure and financial framework. We don't even know what governance and leadership would be. what the operational approach would be, and that all is going to affect the implementation timeline. Any other board members have any thoughts?
I agree with our legal opinion that the complexity is a challenge. I believe that you don't take an offer of cooperation. It's not an either or. The local option should still be part of our strategic plan, even if we're not going to, formally affiliate. It's
a valid point.
We
still need to work together.
Mary Lou was the most, on spot last evening saying, these synergies exist. Why aren't we using them now? And I think we need to reassure. There's a tremendous amount of fear in that physician community about what this means and how it changes their business model. Some of the things that we put in place in our 90-day review can help reassure that services aren't cut, that employees don't get lost.
Barb, Renee, Chris, anybody chime in?
Just a real quick comment. The biggest hurdle for us is the bank covenants. As of December 31st, we paid all our monthly payments, interest, principal, but as of December 31st, we're going to be out of compliance with some covenants that when we renegotiated this loan.
October 31st, 2023.
Yeah, a little over a year ago. They worked with us. We had a plan to do improvements, and they had a graduated. We did two main covenants. One is that what they call we had to maintain a certain amount of EBITDA, which is accounting gobbledygook. You start with your bottom line and you add back certain things like depreciation, which is a journal entry, not cash. And there were a couple of adjustments there. But we had to maintain certain levels, and it's tested on a quarterly basis. So we passed in June, we passed in September, but we're not going to pass in December. So December, we're not going to pass on the EBITDA. The other covenant is we have to maintain a certain number of days cash, and that's calculated by taking your operating expenses and for the year divided by 365. I'm going to say, and that tells you how much cash you have to have on hand in order to meet your cash operating expenses. And we're nudging up to that, but we probably will still be okay on that in December. Fingers crossed, right?
What do we try to keep cash on hand? How many days?
We have to maintain at least 70 to make things right.
The covenant is 75, but in the industry, you really should have at least 150 days on hand. So the covenant was pretty modest, half of what most organizations would require. I'm looking at the CEO, and I'm sure that your days on cash are higher than that. But I have a lot of concerns about this, but because of our pending default on our covenants and our loan, we don't have a lot of choices. And this isn't the partnership I would necessarily have sought out, but they're willing, and I think that's where we're going to have to go, at least to continue the discussions and make a final decision in December. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. March. So anyway, that's my comments. I'm not happy about it, but I don't think we have a lot of choices. And I really appreciated the meeting we had yesterday with the local group of clinics and physicians and advanced health. It was a great discussion, but again, it's just too late and complicated. It's not gonna save the organization in the time frame that we have. I wish I had better news for you.
Patrice, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Renee, sparking some conversation. So, I mean, trying to choose the right word. Some of what we've talked about has kind of had a negative connotation. And I think I want to switch gears to try to be a little more positive and look to what we're going forward with. I think it's okay that we're going to unveil the partner that we're looking at as Quorum Health. If you're not familiar with them, they actually own McKinsey-Willamette, who we do a lot of work with currently and would continue to have those synergies to work with them. Some of what we did like about their proposals was that they allow us to continue to work with our local partners, that we get to, if we settle on a lease, and again, all this stuff is to be negotiated out. This is part of what we're entering into, is to figure out, can we get these things we want? They have seemed positive towards a lease, and in which case the district still remains, the local board still remains, and we keep the assets. Again, I mentioned they own McKinsey-Willamette. They have demonstrated support for independent physician practice, which I know is important to our physician community. They've committed to adopt at least some of our bylaws, and the freedom, which is something I suppose is going to turn a little, just negative is not the word, but that allows us the freedom to move our strategic plan forward on working on expanding services and improving better patient care, as well as what we don't talk about. I know everyone feels it, but if we pull it out as a bullet point of something we need to address, the executive team, the management team, the floor supervisors, and the staff have all been working on a day-to-day basis with this constant stress of the unknown. What's going on? I don't know. And that stress at some point is not sustainable. It has kind of come to a breaking point. And, you know, as I've always been told, not making a decision is making a decision. And we're charged with saving our hospital and protecting this institution. And we've done that with the information we've been given and careful diligence to do the right thing.
Troy, if I may.
Yes, please.
You know, Quorum, and I'm sure if people haven't, they're going to be Googling now.
Yeah.
You know, through our interview, I think we went in with questions, and what we heard was a coherent vision of the future as Quorum moves from its past, being spun out with not an ideal set of hospitals and going through a process of restructuring and
their own challenges.
Right. Defining how they're going to move into the future. And what we understand from Quorum leadership is the Quorum going forward is going to focus on operating a distributed network of rural hospitals. Guess what? That's what we are. We're a rural hospital isolated geographically. We have some very unique challenges, and Quorum is assembling processes and leaders and approaches that are going to match the challenges that we face in our community. And we're going to be potentially be part of a potential system with other hospitals who face similar challenges that can be a network resource. And I think that's important for folks to know, because you're not gonna find that. That was something that we could learn in conversation about their future plans moving forward.
The board members here, I think, are good. Karma, I just want to reach out one more time, make sure you didn't have anything else you wanted to say.
No, I think I'm still for putting things on pause just to find out a little bit more information.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for consideration by the board. I move the board to authorize Brian Moore and the members of the management team of Bay Area Hospital District to finalize and execute a non-binding letter of intent with Quorum Health for its designated subsidiary to explore a strategic partnership.
Do you need a second?
I'll second you.
It's been motioned and seconded. I'll call the question. Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Denise, will you please go through?
Yes. Troy Cribbins, board chairperson, your vote, please.
Yes.
Renee Nelson, member at large. Patrice Parrott, Secretary.
Yes.
Barb Taylor, Treasurer.
Yes.
Dr. Tom McAndrew, Vice Chair. I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. Karma Erickson Hurt, Member at Large.
I'm going to be the no because I want to have a pause.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. I know we're not in dialogue with the public here, that this is a public meeting and they're here, but I'm going to, again, address you and say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for talking to us. With that, I'm not logged out again. I think we're going to move to the Chief Executive report. Pause 1 second. Rex, thank you. You and your team have been invaluable for helping us. We don't want to keep you any longer than you have to. So.
You all have been great to work with. I look forward to seeing you in March.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Chris and Ansley and Ken, all of you. Appreciate your input.
Thank you.
And your time.
Thank you.
Okay, with that,